Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Luqman Effendi.
Alaikum salam.
Some of us are grown, but we are still like children on the inside, maybe in our minds or in our hearts. I want to know from your point of view what one must do with this.
Children must always be accompanied by adults. Yes, isn't that even a law here? Minors must always be accompanied by adults, so that they don't get harmed, nobody takes advantage of them, and so that they don't harm themselves. Don't fall into this kind of philosophy or understanding that to be a child, that is to be childish, to be childlike, whatever it is, that is the best thing that you can do. That's the best place to be. It is not. You must grow up. We all have to grow up. Yes, a child is very special in Islam especially. A child before, not just a baby, but before they reach the age of reason, is still not responsible for anything wrong that it has done. If it passes, if it dies from this world, it enters straight to paradise. It doesn't enter to purgatory, like some other religions are saying. Why? Because nobody is there to bless it and to say you belong to this or you belong to that. So purgatory is not heaven, is not hell, somewhere in between. Still a punishment. No. Which means that any child, it doesn't have to be a Muslim child, any child reaches before the age of, he passes from this world before the age of maturity, he enters straight to paradise. That one is still pure. But if physically you're no longer a child and you're older, you are supposed to have the corresponding maturity as your body has. In the old days, by the time a boy is 16 years old, he already achieved maturity as a man. There are still people like that, especially in people and countries and societies that don't have first world amenities. From young, they have to grow up. They don't have the luxury. So, in these days, of course, man is 20 years old, 40 years old, they still act as if they're teenagers. 60 years old, they still want to be teenagers. I've seen people who are 60 years old, 65 years old, they have class reunion of 1927 or something like that, you know. Oh, the class reunion, high school, and they all come together. They're 65 years old, not 1 foot, both feet in the grave, but they still want to go back and have class reunion with their friends and start thinking about how they were when they're teenagers. This is foolishness, it's not Islam. There's no honor in that. Don't you know when you are like that, in that underdeveloped stage, you're not doing much favor to too many people. You haven't produced something. You haven't. You're still, like Shaykh Effendi will say even harsh words, says you're still there. Even if you're in the university, you're still there eating and drinking from your father's money. You didn't produce anything to society yet. You haven't worked. You don't know how this world works yet. There is no real maturity that's reaching to you. Shut there in your own ivory tower reading books, you think that is real maturity? No, you have to come out into the world and you have to understand. Then you know that this world is not like a university. People work differently, not just in terms of intelligence, but people have different levels of maturity also. And there is also the question of the ego. If you don't know how to deal with that, then you're lost. So, if you think that you're still a child, meaning you're underdeveloped to understand certain things, even in the body of an adult, then you must be in the company of an adult. If you're looking for maturity, you must be in the company of someone who has reached maturity. If you are immature, for example, in school, doesn't matter what your age is, You enter school, you are 50 years old, but you're immature in that subject, and your teacher is just 20 years old. You have to follow that teacher. We have to. But the question again, do you want to be mature or not? Do you want to grow up or not? We don't have much of a choice. We have to. Spiritually, now if you want to mature, find a guide. Spiritually. I'm not talking about learning how to read or write or to go up and down and to worship. No, we're talking about you knowing yourself. And that time you have to find a guide. Not talking about a scholar. I'm talking about someone who's going to teach you yourself. A scholar teach from the books. The sheikhs, like our sheikh, he's going to teach you from your book, and he's going to teach you how to read your book, your heart, you. That time you will become more mature, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.